Actually started a minute ago in case everybody was wondering, but we had some streaming issues and we got it fixed thanks to Dana's capable hands. I've had half of my breakfast so far, half a package of peanut butter crackers, so I'm good to go. I got my coffee. I've got Tim Fournier on the line. He is the Public Works Director. Sometimes I do want to call him Tim Taylor, just I don't know why, but it does, because he's a problem solver and he solves problems for us. It's partly. Say what?
I said I certainly try.
Oh, you do a great job of it, Tim. That's all I can say. You do a great job. Couple of things, as you may or may not know, we did have a little weather event over the last few days. Caused a little bit of slowdown in the city, but I will say this, the Public Works Department has done a phenomenal job keeping the city moving the best we could. I mean, we had crews out, or I say Tim had crews out 24 hours a day for like 2 days, clearing streets, putting sand, maybe some salt on the streets wherever he could, on the streets that we owned. I do know we got a comment the other day on one of our feeds, I think it was on Facebook, talking about the fact that Reynolds Road was horrible, and we had to remind people that Reynolds Road is not really our road. It's a state road. It's a state highway. So unfortunately, they're responsible for doing that. And they were concentrating on the other roads before they got to that. I don't know if they actually got to that or if we may have actually snuck a plow down there once or twice or not, if we did, I'm not gonna say.
Yeah, rumor is it started getting cleared somehow. So,
hey, it's all that matters. Sometimes rumors are good that way. Anyway, so they did a great job of that. We've done a great job of that. We're going to talk about a variety of different things today. Tim, a couple of announcements I want to bring up is one is we got a couple of new restaurants that are coming to town. We're finally able to mention these. One of those is Wingstop. It'll be opening very soon. It's over on Highway 5, right next in the plaza where Casa Mexicana is, which to me is a really good Mexican restaurant. We also have a new one finally going in the old Hardee's building on Reynolds Road. It is called Grill Pollo, and I believe this is their second location as well. If you remember a year or two ago, I guess it was a couple of years ago now, we had Don Pepe come in, and it was their second location. They came in from Conway. Grill Pollo's coming in from Little Rock, is my understanding. So I looked on their website, and I tell you what, the food looks good. I'm just saying. I don't know if it is or not, but Dana's got a little smile over there going on.
I'm reading the comments.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, Dana?
The city engineer would like to know why Tim's background is so hazy.
Well, because he knows how to blur the backgrounds where I don't, apparently. So, because Tim's cool that way.
I feel like the city engineer has too much time on his hands sometimes.
In case nobody heard that, Dana, in the background, city engineer was on the line, is making a comment asking why Tim's background is blurred. And I said, well, Tim's figured out how to do that where I have not. So all you get to see is my screensaver up there, which is a fun little thing to see too. Looks like I'm swimming in the ocean right now. But anyway, moving on to more important things. Another thing I want to mention is Trails grant that we got recently. We got a $200,000 grant from Metro Plan for a trail. It's in the related to the Parks Department. So it's actually going to come where we built the new trail in Alcoa 40 Park. We have a place kind of off in the woods, and I'm using my hands like you can actually see what I'm talking about here. But we have where the trail goes through the park. There's a little spot where we looked at it and said, oh, it'd be perfect to connect another trail from Alcoa 40 trail that's right there all the way over to Mills Park. So we got a $200,000 grant to do that. So we're going to actually start doing that very soon. We're going through finishing up the design on it right now. And then we have to go through a bid process, and then we'll start construction. Probably my guess is 3-4 months from now, probably in late spring, summer is when construction on that'll start. I believe it'll follow some right of way that we already have over there. And it's going to actually take some of the sidewalk on Mills Park Road and convert it to a trail as well, is my understanding. But look forward to that. That's going to be a fun little connection. So that means people like me or people that are bike riding, you can actually start at Mills Park and go all the way to the Parkway and be on trails. Ultimately, our goal with the trails is we would love to be able to connect every park we have in the city with a trail. It's a big goal, and we'll also, as everybody knows, the Southwest Trail's coming down south of town here, and part of our job as a city is to make sure Bryant is connected to that trail so we can reap the benefits of that trail. Because if you know people that ride bikes on trails and stuff, they're going to go one place, they're going to get on that trail, they're going to ride, they're going to turn back around, and they're going to come back. And when they come back, they're going to be real hungry. So if they come back to Bryant, they're going to maybe eat in Bryant. So that's a good thing. They can always go to the Copper Mule, which won some awards. Anyway, so we got that. We got a couple of stormwater projects that we got scheduled up. We've got some. If you want to go to the city budget, which is online on the website, our city budget that was adopted in December for 2022, it lists a lot of stormwater projects and various other projects that we're working on, in a systematic manner. We generally go from the worst impact to the least impact, meaning when I say worst impact, it's an area where it may have had extensive flooding or houses flooded and stuff like that. We generally concentrate on houses first and then yards second, because, everybody knows the yard's going to get wet when it rains anyway, but the inside of a house doesn't need to get wet when it rains. A couple of big ones that we have relating to those is one over at Carywood. It's about a $500,000 project that we're working on. We're actually in the design stages of that, right, Tim?
Correct. Yes, sir.
I think we're going to try to push that out this year, if I remember right as well. We had a big meeting about it with me, you, city engineer, and finance director on how we can manage these 4 or 5 big projects that we have. So
Right,
basically,
the Carywood Rain Tree project is a continuation of the other 6 projects that were done in 2021 out there also. So it's
that's true. So we hope this will be the last of this project that goes through there, and this will help solve most of their problems. And once we get this project done, I think generally what we do is we monitor those areas. And if we need to do additional projects to alleviate something else, we go through that step as well. So, because when you do stormwater issues, and Tim could tell you better than I can, but when you do a stormwater issue, if you have a drainage, you always have to go from downstream to upstream. Otherwise, you create more problems downstream.
correct. Yeah, anytime we do any type of stormwater project, it will affect another area. So the goal is to minimize that impact, but also continue to follow the trail there, if you will, or drainage to fix it as we go.
Yeah. So that's good. Now we can always talk about the big bear in the room, can't we, Dana? I think we got some people on now. Maybe, I don't know. If we do, we do. If we don't, well, they're missing out. And of course, I bet Tim knows what the Big Bear project is, huh? Big Bear problem we have.
I can take a random guess.
Oh yeah, what could it be, Tim?
I'm gonna go with meters and nodes and Mueller.
Oh yeah, meters and nodes. Yeah, meters and nodes and bears, oh my, or something like that, right?
Sure.
I don't know. Wait, there's lions and tigers and bears and what was that? Wizard of Oz? I think it was Wizard of Oz. Tim's like, I don't know. But what would it be? Meters and nodes and water, oh my, I guess we can do it that way. So as people out there know, we've had some issues with some water with our nodes on the water meters, not necessarily the meters themselves, right, Tim?
That is correct.
Can you kind of give us a little bit of the history of what's happened over the last year or so?
Sure. I guess it'd be 2020, we were discussing with our current meter provider about an upgrade to the system, which we have to do. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The old system was phased out, and the nodes, the nodes, which are the radio for the meters, were failing at kind of an unprecedented rate, whether the battery is dying prematurely or as fast its lifespan. So in April, we agreed to do the upgrade. The upgrade was supposed to be done by, well, it had several dates, but really the final date was supposed to be August, September. And
last year, correct?
Last year, 2020. Obviously, that date has not been met. So at some point, we had 5,400 nodes that were not reporting to us that we had to manually read. Kind of an impossible number for us to manually read with the staffing we have. We certainly looked at other options, but they all come with an extenuated cost also.
Yeah. One of the things in the past, what we talked with regard to last year is the company that's been providing these nodes and provided this system for us. We've had a relationship for them for like 10 years.
Mhm.
And, in the heart of COVID, there was some supply chain issues and stuff like that. And I think they did offer us some, did give us some deadlines saying, hey, we're going to have this done by this date, this date, this date. They were not able to do that. But honestly, we weren't able to, based on our relationship that we've had with Mueller over the past 10 years, there was no reason for us to not think that they could accomplish their goals, I think, right?
That's correct.
So, so we had to know, basically at that point, when we started seeing some issues, we negotiated with them a little bit on an upgrade price, right?
Correct. Yeah. So if you fast forward to today, originally it was thought they only had, they're at the tail end of installing the nodes, but there is another 800, 1,000 they have to replace. It was the original ones they installed back in 2021 that now are having some issues. And I don't necessarily believe that's a Mueller issue. I think it's probably a programming issue, but we also have to update our collectors because 3G, as everybody knows, is going away. We got a shipping date for those last week. So we hopefully will get those this week and install probably the next week forward. So that should all help.
Yeah. So that should help a lot with some of those nodes that are installed now and that can read, but they're just not transmitting the information, right? Because of these or whatever.
I think one of the maybe miscommunications or confusion is how I started this. I kept saying meters, and now everybody hears meters. Meters, when they have their ratings for low flow, high flow, the percentage is never 100%. So a meter doesn't read 100% of the water goes through it. So if a resident believes their meter is reading more water, it's probably not probable by any means. And also the node reporting or not reporting doesn't affect the meter read. Think of the node as an antenna in your car and your radio station on. If you go through a tunnel, it's still going to tell you what radio station it is. You just may not be able to hear the music. It's the same effect.
I got you. Yeah, that's a good analogy. I hadn't thought about it that way, but that's a really good analogy regard to that, because I know I've been through a couple of tunnels where you lose the radio, and especially if people are using that satellite radio these days, right?
Right, but it still tells you what channel you're on, and it picks up as soon as you get outside the tunnel. It's kind of the same idea.
Cool. How many people do we have in our water department?
And in the billing department or the water department itself?
Well, the water department itself and the billing department, I'll call that separate, even though they're part of it. All they do, the billing, is they handle the bills, right? The ladies there.
Yeah, and they help us enter the manual reads.
Right.
It's about 10 in the water department, but in theory, you have two meter techs.
Right.
So
we have two guys that are responsible for what, 8,500, 9,000 meters in the city.
So we have male and female, both long-term employees, and we range anywhere from really 8,300 to 8,500 meters at any given time with active accounts.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. What are some of the problems that they've had in the past?
As far as
our techs, would they have any issues when can they install these nodes? Can our techs?
Could they? Yes. The problem is the update of the firmware. It takes anywhere between 17 minutes and 30 minutes per node, and they'd have to stand there. It's a significant impact on time, and they also have a series of work orders to do, whether it be a reread, a meter swap out, a setter install, an irrigation meter install. So it wouldn't prove any positive on the current residents here if we were to sit there for 17 to 30 minutes on every node. I mean, let's just say 17 and times 1,000. It's
right.
A lot of time.
But we are looking at some options to do that. And I think the company that supplies these nodes for us right now, they're sending somebody out potentially, I think, to maybe do part of that as well.
Yep, 2 weeks ago, they said that they could subcontract some help and it would be about 3 to 4 weeks out. So we should not be looking at more than 2 weeks at this time. I haven't heard a different timeline. So
Gotcha.
still sticking to that.
And I know me and you are basically in email conversations or meetings with them about 2 to 3 times a week, right?
Yeah, like anybody else in the last 2 years, Mueller's had some rollover or turnover, excuse me. It seems like the two gentlemen we're dealing with now are fairly up to date with what's happened, and they're keeping us in really good communication compared to what we've had. So it's every bit of 2, if not 3 times a week.
Yeah. All these problems that we've had over the last several months, I'll say, with regard to these nodes, can you talk about the challenges that this has caused for water billing?
Sure. So at one point we started estimating bills, which not everybody, a fair portion of the residents got these bills. And then they had this, we'll call it a balloon bill, but it was their actual usage bill, which raised all sorts of cane on our end, and rightfully so. So we had an extreme influx of phone calls and issues. But not only that, there's been some I guess we can call it distrust with the meters. So we've had to deal with, rereads quite a bit.
Sure.
There's only 3 ladies in the billing office and there's 8,500 accounts. So it's kind of a game of patience. I know nobody wants to hear that, but they have to do.
Oh, you froze up.
Oh,
you froze up for a second. You're back now, though.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was just sitting really still.
You left off with 8,500.
There's 8,500, active accounts at any given time, and only 3 people in the billing office. So, and we had anybody who calls shows up, we have to dedicate the proper amount of time to get the resolution, the correct resolution for the resident. So it is a game of patience. So if you have any issues, give us a call. We may not be able to answer right away. I'm more than willing to meet with anybody. I have on several occasions. So that's kind of where we're at. It's 3 people per 8,500. So
yeah. In the past, Dana might need to sit a little closer. She wrote me a note and held it up and I can't read it. It's too far away. My eyes are not that good anymore, Dana. Sorry. Somebody's asking a question, I think. So, okay. Yeah, I was actually going to go that way. With regard, when we started having these problems with the nodes not reading, that's when we started estimating, correct?
Yes, there was a 3-month period of estimations. And like I said, we had talked to certain companies and the expectation was there wouldn't really be a disruption. There clearly was.
Can you take us through the process of what has happened? Let's say my account, because I know this happened to my account as well, so I'm not immune to this happening. What had happened in the past was, we'll use me as an example. My meter did not, the node on my meter did not transmit the data. So a month or 2, I got a bill. How was that bill generated?
The bill is what we'd call a minimum bill. And it's basically the minimum charge of sewer and the minimum charge of water. And generally, if you typically have let's say, $80 to $100 bill and you end up with a $37 and change bill, it's probably a billing error. So in the end, I guess not in the end, but we had these larger bills for residents. So what we do and offer is a payment plan. And I don't want a payment plan to get confused with there's an interest rate or anything like that assigned to it. It's not. You have to pay your normal bill and then a amount that's decided between you and the billing department over 6 months to make up the overage. So no financing, there's no interest, there's no late penalties. Now, if you default on the payment plan, then we do go for full collection at that point.
Continuing on with let's say with my water meter, let's say it took a couple of months. Let's say I use $100 a month, just a number out there on a normal basis, and then I get these low bills, and I see these low bills, and I pay these low bills, and I don't think anything of it. And then what happens? How how does the water department get caught up with that?
Yeah, so what's going to happen is if we didn't read the meter during that time or the estimation, when we go get the next read, it's basically going to be a reflection of the previous real read and the newest read and deduction in there, which
Right.
if it's more than a month or two, it'll show some significant usage or consumption.
Now, my question is this, okay, let's say you got that at one read before, there's been a few months, of mine, and then you go out and you get a read on that meter and it shows this water consumption. So to the normal person, it may look like I'm paying for that water twice if I've already paid 2 water bills.
Yeah, you're not. So we have ways to do what I call a 2,000 gallon consumption, which would come off, the existing bill, or so that way you're not basically double paying for the water.
Okay, so you basically credit for that previous payments is what it is.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're generating a minimum bill and we didn't have any read, we would adjust the consumption.
Yeah. Of course, I think when we first started this, we were doing what you were calling earlier as estimating. And I don't think that was necessarily a minimal billing at that time, was it?
It was not. So the estimation process would be, let's just use February 5th, 2022. If we were to estimate your bill today, it would go back to February 5th of 2021's bill. So that's how that's calculated. It's not an average. It's not it went back to the year before date.
Yeah. And we're not estimating anymore, are we?
There is 0 estimations at this point in time, and it has been on hold for a little while.
Right. And so if we're not estimating, how are we doing this if we don't get a read? Is that the minimal you're talking about?
So the goal is to get everything read. And so far we've done, a really good job with that. There are instances we cannot get to a meter, whether it be something parked on top of it, a loose dog, whatever the case may be. But the majority of the meters, if not all, are being read manually.
Gotcha.
It's not all 8,500. It's all non-reporting ones, which right around now is about 3,000.
Okay, so we've done pretty well, because I think when we first started this, had this issue really, and it hit so suddenly, it was crazy. We had about 5,000 meters that weren't reading.
The fail rate of the nodes was almost 1,000 a month, so it was impossible for us to keep up. And at the point, we had roughly 5,500 nodes. Actually, I think the number is 5,400 nodes that were not reporting to us. And we don't have like a month to read. We have, just a short window in time before the bills are due. And we try to keep that because we'd like everybody to get their bill calculated the same rate as far as day usage, not 10 days here, 40 days on the next bill. It's not fair.
Right. That's not fair. And that would definitely show some weird billing issues with
correct.
that. Now, just cause serious headaches. And I get that. I don't think we have this in the city, and I don't think so, but hopefully we'll be able to do this in the future, because we're changing some software, not with regard to the meters or nodes, but with regard to our financial side of the software. What are your thoughts on levelized billing?
I don't see why we shouldn't pursue it. I mean, it seems pretty common practice in the other utility industries. So my assumption is there's some thought and practice there that works.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice. I know for me, I use it for my gas bill, and it's kind of nice because then I can say, okay, and it changes a little bit here and there, which is fine because my usage over the time has changed, and they look at it and say, okay, over the past year, this is what you're using. So based on that, your monthly usage is this. So, in the wintertime, I pay the same amount or pretty close to the same amount as I do in the summertime, which is really nice for budgeting for me and for other citizens too. The question I have, of course, we have some other issues. We'll work with that, and it may make it more difficult, but, for some other things, but, that's okay too. With every nice thing, there's always a difficult, right?
Yeah. Hey, real quick, while we're talking about the meters, we should probably talk about irrigation meters.
Yeah, please do.
So if residents don't know, if you're watering your lawn with your house meter, residential meter, you're going to get charged the sewer charge. It's not going down the sewer system, but there's no way for the city to tell the difference. So if you want to not have to pay for a sewer charge, we do offer irrigation meters. There is an added initial cost. We have to put a setter in, install the meter, but you can also suspend that account when it's not in use. So during the winter months, we'll see inactive accounts because people will suspend their irrigation meter. So the irrigation meter can be used for irrigating the lawn. Some people use it for pool fills, so you don't get the sewer charge. There is a pool fill clause and a resolution to help with that also. But that's one way to, in terms, to say beat the sewer charge on the residential meter.
On the
I highly recommend it.
yeah, on that with that aspect, you're oh, what was I about to ask or say? It was really something that was kind of a neat thought. Irrigation meters, usage. Oh, it's going to come back to me in a minute, I think. I hope, because it was really, what was it? Gosh, I can't think of what it was right now. I hate it when my mind does that.
I can give you a question while you're thinking.
Okay, we got a question.
But like maybe Tim can touch on what is the long-term plan right now on fixing the issue.
Gotcha. Somebody's asking, what is the long-term plan on fixing this issue?
Sure. So right now we're still working with Mueller to get the system up and running the way it should be. That is the shortest fix at this point in time. The rest of it, we've had now 3, and we're looking into maybe 2 more meter companies present to Water Sewer Advisory, which is the first Tuesday of every month, if anybody wants to come to that. With any metering company, there's pros and cons. So we got to look at that, but we also have to do some due diligence. This isn't a 1-week decision. We're looking between $2 and $3 million projects.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be doing this again in 10 years. We'd like to find somebody we can stick with and have a very long-term relationship with.
No, I know one of the things me and you talked about in the meeting we had the other day, we talked about the possibility of maybe having somebody come in and read our meters. And we reached out to a company in the past, if I remember right, to have them do that, but they did not really want to do that for the meters that weren't reading, correct?
Yeah, what happens is because we're moving in a path where we won't need them long term, it becomes very expensive because they have to mobilize every single month.
And one of the things that we talked about in our meeting was the fact, instead of us doing that, and of course, the cost on that was real high. I will say that it was real high.
Yes.
It was basically $4 a meter per month or something like that.
It would have been between $38,000 and $40,000 a month just to have them read it.
Yeah, which is a whole lot. You can hire a person for that, or 2
Much
maybe.
cheaper.
And
Yes.
so what we were kind of talking about as kind of a stopgap measure to help us with our reads is reaching out to a temp agency and finding a couple of temp employees to work on a periodic basis for us in the meter read section.
Yeah, so we've actually started that process of the reaching out. So we're in progress with that. But just to piggyback off of that, we've hired temps in the past and transitioned them into full time. And Public Works has job openings. So if there's anybody looking for a job, or let's say some of these seniors that are graduating that aren't sure they want to go to college,
Yeah.
help pay for training. We help pay. We've got great benefits. We've got education. We help pay for your licenses. You can set yourself up pretty well.
Yeah. What jobs do y'all have open?
We have some lower equipment operator ones in the streets department. Stormwater is fully staffed. And then we have some utility worker positions in the wastewater department. We have the wastewater treatment positions open. And we have just 1 or 2 water positions open. So
Gotcha.
it's
That's
kind of
cool.
like I said, it's a great opportunity for anybody, especially the kids graduating that aren't sure what they want to do. Like I said, there's sick time, there's benefits, there's federal holidays,
There's retirement.
there's retirement. The hours are generally Monday through Friday, unless you get an on-call or get an emergency call. So like I said, there's openings, and we'd like to fill them, especially if we can develop a relationship with some of these younger kids and have them, full-time, bring them in for 10, 15, 20 years.
Right. And if people are out there and they're interested in that, they can always go to the city website, www.cityofbryant.com. And I believe is it under HR? I can't remember exactly where it's at, HR, and you can click and you can get a listing of all those job openings citywide, not just in your department, but citywide, and you can apply to them.
Yep.
Actively looking for people in other departments as well. So I know animal control's looking for some spots as well. Public Works is looking for some spots. I believe police is looking for some spots. Fire went through a testing sequence the other day. So I think they're good with some people that they found, but they're always still looking. We always like to have people interested in working for the city. I remember the question I was going to ask. It was about the irrigation meters, and you
Sure.
mentioned something about suspending that account. What does that mean when you suspend an account? Does that mean you have to still pay on that account those months?
No, that's exactly what happens. So if you do not suspend an irrigation account, you will accrue a minimum bill every single month. If you do suspend it, there is no bills associated with that until you reinstate it.
So basically, I could water my yard with an irrigation meter for 6 months, pay for that water for 6 months, and then suspend it during the time when the grass is dormant and not have to pay a thing on that.
Correct.
That's awesome. I think that's a pretty cool deal.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Maybe I need to have one of those put in mine, and I'll actually water my yard then.
And you're only getting billed the water usage or consumption. There's no sewer charge like there is a house meter or residential meter.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we know, and the residents, I'm sure, the sewer charge is actually the greater of the two charges on your water bill.
It is.
And that's because it takes a lot of money to clean dirty water.
Yes.
Because based on my previous history of knowledge from stuff I used to do before I was a school teacher and stuff, when we release that treated wastewater, it has to be basically to drinking water standards, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So basically, whatever comes out of that plant on the downstream side, you could actually drink it.
Yes. You could.
And that costs a lot of money.
That's what we're told. Now, I've been to the treatment plant. I'm not sure.
I don't think I would either, but I have confidence in the fact that, because when you test that downstream portion.
Yeah, it is highly regulated. We have to do several labs and testing and submit them. So there's certain guidelines we have to follow in. And so far, we've been fantastic at it.
Yeah. One of the things that I want to do probably this year, I'd like to do is maybe do. And when we do Bryant 101, as you know, we do a tour of the wastewater treatment plant. Yep. And it's usually very enlightening for people. And what I'm hoping to do maybe this year, either during that time, during another time, maybe having a video of the actual process that our water goes through when it gets from somebody's house, through the pipes, into the wastewater treatment plant, and then out the back door.
I'm sure we could work something out.
I think some people might say that's a crappy idea, but maybe not. I had to throw it in there. I'm sorry. I had to throw the dad joke in.
Yeah. Low hanging fruit there.
Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me. That made me laugh, Tim.
Oh.
I can't.
Well, we did have a question about the Parkway Project too, and Ted's answered it, but
okay.
I thought maybe you or Tim could go in a little bit more detail about
somebody had a question about, what was the question? Do you
just wanting to know an update on that project?
Oh, well, I can do that. Actually do that update. Yeah. Somebody's asking about Parkway Phase 2, I guess, which is basically from Shobe Road south past the railroad and over the railroad tracks by the airport down to Hill Farm Road. And yes, we are actively in process of that. It's a great thing that's happening. We are about to get the land release from the FAA on that this month. Hopefully in the next week or two is what our understanding is. And at that point, then we can buy the right of way that we've already got aside for that. And we'll put it out to bid. And then we will start construction this year, which is a great thing. I'm so excited about that. It has been a hard process, has it not, Tim?
It sure has been, but it's moving forward.
It is moving forward. And, if it wasn't for the federal agencies and Union Pacific, and when I say federal agencies, I mean the FAA and Union Pacific, which Union Pacific is not a federal agency, but they act like one, I swear. We'd have this project already done, I think, because they like to slow things down.
least would have been started, that's for sure.
Yeah. One of the things I've discovered through this entire process is when, like Union Pacific, they have to review our plans for that roadway to make sure it meets their standards. And I totally get that. And what's crazy about that is the city has to pay Union Pacific to review those plans, which is kind of crazy, but it is what it is. And that's life, and I guess they have to, if they have people that are specialized in that, I guess they have to figure out a way to pay them. Any other questions, Dana?
I have no, is there any cost to suspend that irrigation meter and reinstate it?
Good question. Is there any cost to suspend the irrigation and reinstate it?
No.
No cost. That's cool. It's just a phone call, isn't it? I think, if I remember right.
It's a phone, and I say no. I believe there's a minor cost to reinstate it because we have to send somebody out there, but those things are all in review right now because well, in my opinion, it's kind of silly to say, hey, we can save you money and then we charge you to turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah.
But work that out.
Because basically that's just turning the meter on and off, I think, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. We're working through that, some of those things like that. So that's cool. Is there anything else you can think of that we haven't talked about, Tim?
Yeah. And we started the conversation with stormwater. We're starting the capital improvement study this year. We hope to have it done this year. So that'll be pretty awesome. I mean, there's obvious issues with stormwater in the city that we've identified and we can work on. But the idea of the capital improvement plan is to develop, a 10, 15, 20-year plan that'll have improvement.
You froze up on me again. It froze up when you said to have improvements.
So it'll have improvements as it goes along, but the initial plan will be multi-year. So like I said, there's obvious issues in the city that we already have planned out and working on, but this way it'll give us, hey, we can say in 10, 12 years when we will know what we're doing or what we're working towards. Right.
And we're actually doing that not just for stormwater, but we do the same thing basically for a wastewater system too, don't we?
We do. One of the engineering firms is working on several basins, and we're also looking at, and it'll be in the future, a regional detention. So yeah, the idea is to have the city's projects planned out for several years.
Yeah. Kind of anticipate what's going to happen with the growth and stuff like that and plan for it's really what those plans do, I think. And if you don't plan for the future, we know what happens, right?
That's right. So
you get a situation like we are right now with stormwater or wastewater.
So we are also doing a pavement analysis this year. That'll be kicking off. We have a meeting in 2 weeks with that firm. So we'll have long-term plans for the streets and also daily traffic counts, and subgrade ratings and all that good stuff. There are some streets that we get complaints about, but unfortunately, when there's only 3 or 4 cars on them and the cost of repairing a road, the higher traffic roads need to come first.
Right. With regard to that, and with regard to this weather we've had recently, this cold winter weather, where you get freeze and thaw, what happens to the roads when you get freeze and thaw?
You will find some new potholes along with the existing potholes that want to pop back up. So please, don't be shy to give us a call or turn in a request to fill a pothole. We can't find them all, or we can't drive every street, but yep.
Right. And that's why I brought that up. I want to reach out to the people for this. This is your time. And when you see a pothole, the best thing to do is to go on the website and report a concern. Tell us where it's at so we can get it on a schedule to get it repaired. It doesn't mean it'll be repaired in the next 2 days after you report that pothole, because generally you try to get several of them together to make it worth your while, correct?
That's correct. And we do face temperature challenges. We have cold patch to fill a hole, but it's not going to last forever. And if it's too cold, the asphalt plant doesn't make asphalt. Sometimes we need to, cut a section of the road and repair subgrade to have a decent fix. So there's more than just throwing something in a hole and expecting it to last.
Right. So I ask patience for people when we have a pothole. Sometimes it takes a little while because we have these things that happen. If, like you say, if it's cold, you just can't really fix it very well.
Yeah.
And also, I think if it's rainy and wet, you can't really fix it either, correct?
And no, water is asphalt's number one enemy. So it wreaks havoc, whether it's frozen or wet.
If you could build a road out of anything in the world besides asphalt, what would it be?
You know what? I don't know. I keep seeing those memes online about how Romans built roads and they still last, but I'm pretty sure the Romans didn't have semi trucks and all sorts of other stuff driving all the roads or high traffic. So
Probably not. I think they use cobblestones.
maybe we should just go to flying cars.
Ooh, that sounds like a plan. Do we have anything in the works for that right now?
So
Well, anything else you want to talk about today, Tim? Excuse me.
I got a couple notes here. You know, the speaking of potholes and roads, the street department did manage to get 6 miles of road paved in 2021, and we have several miles planned this year. Along with everybody's aware of the condition of Hilltop and Hilldale. If you drive those roads, we do have plans to cut out some of those sections, repair the subgrade, and get some good asphalt on there.
Good.
Let's see. The traffic signals, we'll be upgrading all traffic signals this year, and some have already been done. We'll be put battery backups on them so we don't have to run out a generator if we get a loss of power. We're doing a significant amount of the crosswalks, especially around the schools and where there is crosswalks at bus stops. We're changing to the high intensity crosswalk lights, which if you've been to Little Rock or Hot Springs, you've seen them. You push the button and it has multiple strobes on it.
That's cool.
What else we got going on here?
Does that make those intersections more ADA compliant when you do that?
Correct. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And the bulbs you see now, everybody's kind of used to. They just kind of they're boring and not bright. So this is cool. Then in regards to streets, like I said, I don't know if there's any residents on, but the boring has been, if anybody's noticed, boring crews and communities throughout the city everywhere. If they hit a service line, please give us a call. Sometimes they give us a call, but more importantly, the street specs that are in phase right now, we'll be taking those to council to have the boring section put in there for us so we are able to make them more accountable for their issues. It's got depths and widths and all sorts of regulations for them. So we've got issues with them.
Yeah, when the boring company does hit a service, and of course they call us, it's not really our job to repair that, unfortunately, but we can help with locating it, I think, can't we? And then we can make that contractor do those repairs, correct?
Correct. And like I said, we've had some residents that have been without services for more than a day, and that's not the way it should go. There's been back and forth. So if that happens, feel free to give me a call and I'll be happy to make the boring company go ahead and take care of it.
Yeah, we actually had to do that, I think, last week or week before last for the boring company.
Yeah.
We made them stop work until they fixed a problem that they had created. So,
yeah. What else? As far as water, wastewater, and the water treatment plant, like I said, we're looking at meter systems. We've did the service line repairs, and by service line, I mean the side of the meter that's ours. We're no longer putting multiple clamps on them because it's cheap. The water department's been pulling new service lines because the resilience in new service line is obviously longer than multiple clamps. CAO work, as far as wastewater is concerned, you'll see us working a lot in the Stivers and Robin Hood Drive area, Justice Loop area this year, and along with Northeast 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. We're looking at lift station improvements to Station 5, and then some water treatment plant upgrades later this year.
When you say C, what does that mean? So
consent administrative order. So that is work that we have to do that's regulated by ADEQ. It's a lot of it has to do with capacity in the system or upgrading the system, whether it be manholes or larger lines.
Basically, those are projects that have been identified as required by ADEQ, correct?
Yes. And to piggyback off of that, everybody knows the material cost has skyrocketed. So early last year, we purchased about 12,000 feet of pipe bursting material that we use. And that, since we have purchased it, has gone up about $7 a linear foot.
Wow. So we saved some money on that. That's good.
We should be good for this year and a fair portion of next year, and then have to purchase again. We'll probably plan on purchasing before then, just so we don't get hit by an increase.
Hopefully by then, maybe the price will go back down, but who knows, right?
We hope, but if you know what you're driving by and you drive by one of these yards that has that HDP pipe, whether it be culvert or sewer pipe, you'll notice that the stocks that used to be in front of it are dwindling down and not getting restocked.
Yeah, true that.
So,
Anything else that you can think of? Dana, any more questions?
no, not really, but my email and phone number's out there. If anybody has questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll answer the best I can. If I don't have an answer, I'll get it to you.
Absolutely. That's what we do here. We answer questions to the best of our ability, be it you, be it me, be it Dana, be it city engineer, be it any other department head. That's our job, is to answer questions and to help with the people. So
just to clarify, because we get a lot of phone calls about streetlights. Can
Yeah.
you touch on that process when we get a call?
Sure.
how that goes?
yeah. Did you hear that, Tim?
Yeah, so as far as the actual streetlights, the city does not specifically maintain them. What happens is we get a call saying there's a street light out. We contact the utility provider and they come out and maintain it. We can't really rush them, force them, or anything like that. The only thing we can do is tell them that it's out and they put it on their schedule. We're literally doing the same thing a resident can do if they log on to that utility's website.
Gotcha. So basically, it's utilities, the electric companies, basically, that would be Entergy First Electric in our area. They're responsible to replace those lights when they go out. Now, what happens if, let's say, somebody's driving on the Parkway and they are maybe impaired or something, and we'll just be nice about this, and they hit a street light? What happens?
So generally the city will pay for the repair to begin, but we will chase the insurance company for repayment on that. We'll get the report so that way we can recoup our costs. Some of these lights have been hit and somebody managed to drive away. I'm not really sure because I leave pieces of their car behind, but generally when one gets taken out, there's a police report to follow.
Yeah. Generally, how much does it cost for one of these, for just an average street light? Like
About
on
$8,000.
$8,000.
Okay. The
Okay.
lead times are insane.
Yeah. I was looking at a project, you talk about lead times. I was looking at a project for parks the other day, and there's some motors associated with it. And there's a 44-week lead time for the motors,
Yep.
which is ridiculous to me. I don't understand it, but anyway, anything else you can think of, Dana, that you have? I can't think of anything. I want to reach out and say thank you, Tim, for taking a little bit of time out of your Saturday to be with me for coffee with the mayor. I appreciate all you do and all your department does. Your street department has done phenomenal work over this stormy time. When I came in, I only saw a couple of little icy spots, and that was on the state road.
So there were streets vehicles being used, but I don't want to take any credit from any of the other departments. We borrowed from the other departments to fulfill the staff requirements for the last 48 hours and then some also. So it was Public Works entirety group that managed this. So
and I agree, and I appreciate all of them. And I know that's a lot of work to do in a short period of time. And they did do a great job of it. So unlike some other cities around, I'm just going to leave it at that.
Well, we're always going to strive to be the best, though.
Absolutely. We are the best.
Remind people to read their newsletters.
Yeah. Dana wants me to remind everybody also that, as you get your water bill, there's a newsletter in there. Please read that. There's always valuable information in it. I think there's some talking about, burning season, as some people call it around here, is coming up soon. And that's spelled out in I know in my section of the newsletter. There may be something from Tim as well in that. So read your newsletter.
Speaking of burning, and not to drag this out, I know the ditch in front of everybody's house looks like a great place to burn it and control it, but it's about the worst place. The city has infrastructure in there. The gas company has infrastructure in there. We've seen culverts lit on fire. We've had to dig up roads. It's not an ideal place to burn anything.
Yeah. Well, if you're in the city, you don't even have to burn, do you, Tim?
No, we do offer the yard waste program, which is every Tuesday we go around and pick up. You just got to give us the work order or call and let us put a work order in, and we'll come and grab your stuff.
What's the deadline for that work order to be in for Tuesday?
We prefer Monday close of business. So
okay. So get your orders in Monday by close of business Monday, and we should be able to come around on Tuesday and pick it up. Sometimes we do have a lot of pickups though, so we may have to take a little extra day.
Well, we were graced with getting another truck this year. We had to wait 9 months because of supply issues, but it has arrived, so things should be getting more efficient.
Cool. I think it's a great program. It's one of my favorites, even though I don't have yard waste really to pick up because I don't have any trees.
Yeah.
Well, except for this little bitty tree in the front, and it just throws little leaves out in the storm drains.
Well, we don't want that either.
We don't. Unfortunately, I can't do anything except rake them up when it comes, you know,
I know.
and then throw them in a field next to me is what I do.
There you go. The compost.
Compost. It's called compost. Anything else you want to talk about, Tim?
No, not off the top of my head. I'm sure I could go on for days, but I'm sure everybody else would like to get going on their Saturday. So, but like I said, reach out if you have questions or concerns, or if you're curious about a project, whether it be now, future, past.
Absolutely. Yeah. Reach out with your concerns. If you're curious about projects, reach out to us as well. If you have any additional questions that we did not answer today, feel free to reach out to us and we will try our best to answer them and maybe do an additional or something if we need to online, so everybody gets that answer. It's important for these meetings to have communication out to the people. And I think we've provided a lot of good information on the water system and the nodes that are having issues and stuff like that today. And I want to thank Tim for being here and everybody that's online that asked some questions. They were great questions today, and I appreciate that. Even the blurry background question was a good question by our city engineer. I would have thought the city engineer might have known how to do that already, but you know, he's an engineer, not a computer guy. So I understand that as well.
I'm sure if it was a spreadsheet, he'd figure it out.
He does really good with spreadsheets for sure. So anyway, with that, I want to say goodbye to everybody. And like Tim said, have a great Saturday and the rest of your week. And we will be back again for Coffee with the Mayor, the first Saturday of March, which I have no idea what day that is, except for it's Saturday. You know, but we'll reach out and we'll put some notifications out. And with that, I want to say goodbye to everybody. And once again, thank you, Tim, for getting online. And by the way, I was wanting to ask you, how are your chickens? You got some chickens the other day, right?
I do. We got 30. We have 15 meat birds. So in 13 or so weeks, we'll be processing those. And we've got 15 more egg layers. And they're all still
eggs.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
There is some, we have Amanda on here talking about developers and trees and all of that. So I think maybe what we could do next time is get the planning director on.
I think that's a great idea. Somebody's asking about developers and trees and stuff. So next month we'll get the planning director on and we'll talk about those things. It'll be a great thing to do. And he has a really good baritone voice. So it's always nice. And who knows, maybe we'll be able to be actually live on that one, you know, but we still will stream it Facebook, not Facebook, but YouTube. I'm sorry. So on a regular basis. So with that, Tim, I want to say goodbye. Thank you so much. Otherwise, we'll sit here and chat all day, talk about your birds and chickens and your cows and stuff, all that fun stuff that you get to play with. So
yeah. So all right.
Listen, did you get a burro or something recently too? A little donkey?
No,
did I hear something about that?
No, you did hear something about that. It's not born yet, but that's still a.
Okay.
I'm hearing it's an unconfirmed that we're getting it, but I'm fairly certain it's.
Now who I gotta ask this question, Tim. Who precipitates all these animal acquisitions? Who's the lead on this?
You're gonna do this to me, huh?
Is that your bride? Your wonderful bride?
It would be my wife. Yes.
Yeah. Well, she's a nice lady, and somebody's got to give these animals a home. So I'm glad you do.
Yeah, I'd like to tell you she's wrong, but she never seems to be wrong. So.
Oh no, they're never wrong, Tim. They're never wrong. They're never wrong. I've learned that over my years of life. All right, I'll talk to you later, Tim. Have a great Saturday, everybody, and I will see everybody later.